Hey there, Descendants, my fellow Americans and people in other countries around the world. How are we all doing today? Today, we are back with my Tips and Tricks for Beginners series. This is going to be part 5, so let's just go ahead and get right on into it. Alrighty, so the first thing that we're going to talk about here is the ETA shop, right? So just go ahead and head on over here. So for most players in the game, you're probably going to have the yellow ETA vouchers. You're probably going to have some stuff, some weapon blueprints that you can sell. Someone asked me what the most beneficial things to obtain from the ETA shop are. And for me personally, it's definitely the crystallization catalyst. That's number one. Number two is probably the advanced shape stabilizers, core amplifier, the equipment and storage slots, and then the cosmetic items because freeze cosmetics are always good. And like there's usually some pretty useful blueprints in here if you guys don't have everything. I have all this stuff, so actually I'll grab this, um, and then I'll grab this, but I don't need any of this stuff right here. Um, so but that's usually the most useful things is the advanced shape stabilizers, the slots, the amplifier, and kind of the cosmetic items and the blueprints if you need them. And of course, the crystallization catalyst blueprint, definitely number one. Cats are probably the most valuable things in the game. So yeah. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is kind of something that's a little bit more advanced, but I'm going to try to explain it as clearly as I can. So let's go into the weapon cores here, right? And the external component cores. So we'll explain the external component cores first because it's the simplest way to do it. So let's just go to the ascending armory. I mean, honestly, yeah, I had to switch accounts so we can just use this. You guys can just read this on the screen if you want to, pause and read. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So for external components, what you usually want to go for is max HP and defense, right? So this is going to be your max HP core. And then on the external or the defense augmentation, this is going to be your defense core. I think both of the so both of these actually provide defense. This one just provides fire resistance and chill, and then this one provides electric and toxin. So that's kind of how that works. For weapons, it's a little bit different. There's a little bit more. There's a couple more things you can do with the weapons. So we'll just read these on screen together. You guys can pause and read this once again. This actually works out for what I was trying to do today. Okay, so let's just go ahead and head over to where's my Ancient Knight? The other one. I know I have that. There it is. Let's just go ahead and head over to my Ancient Knight here. Um, Obviously I have fire rate and firearm attack along with fire attack on this, because that's primarily how you probably want to build it. I mean, you could do weak point damage as well. But yeah, you can see right here, there's a lot of options for the free augmentation. This slot is kind of whatever you want to put on here. You could do a speed booster. So the ones that I would personally recommend is grappling hook, charge time, increase ratio, sprint speed, you know, probably fire rates, fire attack, rounds per magazine. It's really kind of whatever you want to get out of your weapon. But the best, I mean, honestly, what you kind of want to do is you want to supplement, in my opinion, you want to supplement the cores that you already have equipped. And that's why I went with fire attack. You know what I mean? I could go firearm attack, but I feel like fire attack is just a little bit more valuable here, especially considering I already have 2 firearm attack cores right here. So that's kind of how that works. So we're going to be talking about the Ancient Knight still. Let me go ahead and switch over to Serena here. We're going to use the Ancient Knight as an example. So what you want to do, if you're on controller, you want to press an old square or X. And then if you're on keyboard, you just want to press an old F1 to go to weapon details, right? Excuse me. And this can kind of give you an idea of the way you want to build the weapon. So obviously you can see here the firearm attack is pretty buffed by the cores and whatnot. The modules fire attack is the same thing. So we scroll down here, multi-hit damage. It's it's buffed a little bit here. So the thing that I went for is weak point damage. on the modules, as you can see right here. Weak point damage 75%, and then multi-hit damage is 30%, and the multi-hit chance is 40%. So looking at these stats, so it kind of gives you a basic premise of how to build the weapon. You know, the higher the numbers, I mean, you can go crit if you want for the critical hit damage because it's 1.2 times multiplier, but the hit rate is just pretty low. I mean, you could build on top of it if you wanted to, but, you know, you're probably going to get more bang for your buck out of weak point and multi-hit damage, right? So let's go ahead and just take a look at the ATAMs here, right? It's going to be a different scenario here. Crit is much higher on this, so you definitely want to build this for crit, and then you want to do weak point damage as well for this, right? So that's kind of the basic premise of how to build weapons. As for Descendants, so for Serena, we can look at Descendant module here, and we can see that her skills are Dimension and Singular. So you can do a singular or Singularity Reactor, right? So let's just go ahead and switch over to Bunny as well, because so she's going to be Fusion. So you're going to want a Mixture Reactor for that. You know, because so her fourth is going to be Fusion, and then her first one is going to be Fusion as well, and then her AoE ability is going to be Singular. So you want, I mean, depending on, you know, if you're building for the AoE or the beam, you either want the skill power boost ratio to say Fusion for the beam and then Singular for the AoE attack, right? So that's kind of how that works. By the way, every single time a Descendant releases, a Descendant slot for that Descendant also releases. So if you go to your screen here and you click on purchase slot, you don't have to do this. You can just wait until, you know, new Descendants come out to get your slots, to get more characters in your collection and stuff like that. So you don't need to worry about buying Descendant slots. Oh, by the way, so let's go over to consumables here. And we can see on this left-hand side that they are actually filtered or categorized, you know, by different categories. So we can go here. There's enhancement material. This is going to be your catalysts, your, you know, dimension analyzers, all that stuff. Over here, it's going to be core materials. This is going to be your blueprints and stuff like that. So you can kind of see what you need, what you're missing, whatever the case might be. Well, not what you're missing, but you can see what you have. Basic materials, this is just going to be materials that you need to craft blueprints. Amorphous materials, this is pretty self-explanatory. Cores, this is pretty self-explanatory. This is just weapon and component cores. And the miscellaneous is just going to be your boosters, your vouchers, and your coins and stuff like that. So that's kind of how that works as well. Like I kind of said earlier, another way to get an idea for builds is to kind of look at which skill types a Descendant has. So let's just go ahead and pull up Inez as an example, right? So Inez is all tech. So I have electric skill power boost ratio and tech skill power boost ratio here. We can just go to our modules here, and you can see that all of our skills are going to be tech-based. Right there on the left-hand side, it says tech. So, you know, you want a tingling mechanics reactor because mechanics equals tech, mixture equals fusion, singularity equals singular, and then what's the fourth one? And then phase is going to equal dimension. That's what it is. Sorry. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, you know, all that stuff works. This is part 5. I'm sorry if my explanations were a little bit off. I'm a little bit groggy today, a little bit underslept. But hopefully this helps you guys out, you know, and if you're new to the game, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I hope you enjoy the game. If you have any questions, any further questions about the game in general, just drop a comment down below or check out my other beginners videos, as there's at least a chance that I've covered it in one of those videos. Yeah, I think that's about it for this video. I hope this helps you guys out, you know. But like I said, if you have any questions, just drop them down in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer them, and if I can't, then somebody else can. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.